I attended school in the early 1950s. I started school around 1953, and because of my birthday falling in July, I was able to start when I was 5 years old. The school was a one-room schoolhouse, right from grades 1 to 8. I'm not sure how many kids were in school at one time, but it was a fair amount. I would think maybe 30 kids at one time. Things have sure changed a lot since back then. We had outside bathrooms. They had a boys' bathroom and a girls' bathroom. We had to carry our drinking water from a pump that was located not too far away. My first 3 years going to school with my older sister, we walked to school. It was a 3.5-mile walk. At that time, farmers could let their cattle run loose. They did not have to be fenced in. I can't tell you how many times we spent in a granary, in a field, because the cattle chased us. Sometimes we were there for all afternoon. Didn't make it to school. But then we got smart. After this happening a few times, we started taking our cattle dog with us, Nipper. He was a collie, and he always looked after the cattle next to our house. We started taking him to part way to school. Once we got past the cattle, we would give him a meat sandwich and send him home. And he liked that, so that's how we solved that problem. Nobody had vehicles back then. No running water either. Transportation was by horse and buggy, and in the winter, by sleigh, or if it got too cold, then we used the caboose. And it was a lot of fun. It got really cold at times. Well, Manitoba weather is always cold anyways in the winter. Mom would heat up big clothes irons that you use for ironing clothes. She'd heat those up, and this is what kept our feet warm until we got to school. Once Halloween was over, we started practicing for our Christmas concerts. Every year, it did not fail, we had a Christmas concert. I thought it was, so neat. And of course, the first couple of years, I believed in Santa Claus. Like, I really believed in Santa Claus. And the one year, I think I was in grade 2, we were at school. It was for the Christmas concert. We're waiting for Santa Claus to appear. And there's always this big suspense, and some of the neighbors would go outside and they'd rap on the windows and jingle the bells and everything from the horse and say, yeah, Santa's on his way. So all of a sudden, Santa did appear. And he'd come in and, big ho, 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 and I'm standing on stage and looking at him. And I was kind of standing back a little ways. And I could actually see behind his mask. And then I looked at his boots. but everybody has boots like that. Then I happened to see his watch when he was handing out gifts. And I thought, gee, that looks like Dad. Dad has a watch exactly like that. So then I stepped back a little more and I'm peeking behind the mask. And yeah, it is Dad. So anyways, there went my belief in Santa Claus. Dad was Santa Claus that year. The next day, I said to him, I said, you dressed up as Santa Claus, eh? No way, he said, you would never catch me dressing up as Santa Claus. Well, apparently, the neighbors had got him pretty drunk because they were so tired of playing Santa Claus, they wanted somebody else to do it, and Dad says, no, I'm not. So they started feeding him some good old moonshine. They talked him into being Santa Claus. He doesn't remember anything after that, but yeah, he was Santa Claus. We had some great teachers. Some were very nice, but we did have a couple of teachers that had a mean streak in them, and those we had to watch out for. We were terrified of them. Watch out if you got caught chewing gum. I did several times, and so did others. There was no strap involved, but very embarrassing situation. The teacher would make you go and sit on the stool up on the stage in front of the class. Then she would put a dunce hat on your head and make you put the gum on your nose. Sometimes you were sitting there for half an hour. And it was a very embarrassing situation for anybody to be in. But it happened a couple times to me. I laugh about it now, but at the time, I did not laugh. We had different families, some more well-to-do than others, but that did not stop any of us kids from getting along with each other. And to us, it didn't make any difference. But we did have teachers better than others. Some teachers went out of their way to pick on different kids. This one particular boy, he was a big strapping farm boy. And when I say big, he was big. I don't know why, but it seemed always the teachers picked on somebody from this family. This time, the teacher was picking on the big farm boy. And he got the strap out and tried to give the farm boy a strapping. The farm boy was so used to hard work that it never hurt him. His hands were very calloused from all the hard work that he did, that when the teacher gave him the strap, it didn't bother him, but he pretended it did. So anyways, he would turn his head and he'd have this great big smile on his face and kind of laughing at the same time. His brother was also picked on at school by the teacher. His brother was not a heavy-set boy, not like his older brother. And the teacher tried to give him the strap. This time, the teacher got one of the students to hold the boy down. And then he strapped him, and he strapped him badly. I just talked to two people that went to school with me, and the one that held the boy down, he said, you know, after all these years, I still remember this. And he said, you know, at the time, He said, I was shaking and feeling so bad and crying at the same time because I was told to hold this boy down so the teacher could strap him. You sure as heck wouldn't get away with that today. He'd be in jail. That teacher wouldn't know what hit him. In the summer, we had fields days, and that was really a lot of fun. We would practice and practice to march under our school banner. Our colors were black and yellow. The teacher had made little black paper hats for us with the letter T, and that was the logo for our school. And we had to wear black pants, yellow t-shirts, and saddle shoes for the women. The boys wore black and white runners. We competed in different sports events. They always had baseball, dodgeball, and in baseball, I was the catcher. Catching I really enjoyed. The only thing was we had a pitcher that when he got razzed, he got wild. And his pitching was way up in the air that I would have to try jumping for the ball. I can't tell you how many times I split my pants. I usually brought about 3 pairs of pants to each event. I knew one pair would not be enough. Like I said, times were hard back then, but we had so much fun. Well, the majority of us, unless somebody was being picked on. But that was very unusual. But I do know that one particular teacher that was always picking on the kids, he got his just desserts. The mother of the 2 boys that he used to constantly give the strapping to, she actually took him out and took a round out of him. And boy, did she give it to him. I'll tell you, he was so good to those kids after that. You would never think that it was the same person. But, hey, I'm not a person that believes in violence, but in this case, it was good to see it happening.